Before starting my discussion on private coaching, I will at the outset will state that I come from a discipline of economics, and I've done my PhD on private coaching, where I looked at basically the shadow education market, particularly of quota coaching industry. Okay, and today I'll be focusing more on the issues concerning that, but I will also try to explain as to how this expansion of coaching is happening, and what is the level of this industry, and how these new coaching hubs are coming in the country. Followed by my discussion, why do students take private coaching? What basically, why do they take this decision of pursuing private coaching? And followed by the commercialization, something about choice of coaching institutes, access, and what are the implications of these private coaching, and the regulation that we have now, very recently in 2024. So, okay. So this is largely what I'll be discussing in my talk in roughly 30 minutes. So starting off in the academic literature. Okay, there is some echo from Ramesh EK. If I request you to please mute so that.
I had done that. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay. So all right. So since we are talking about private coaching, and in a normal understanding, we say everyday basis we use private tuition and private coaching. In the academic literature, basically it comes under the gamut of shadow education. So we call one is mainstream education, that is the school education, the secondary school and the higher school, mainstream education, and then we have private coaching, which basically falls under shadow education. Okay, so everything like private tuition, which students basically take during while pursuing their school education to better their marks. Most of us have taken those private tuitions, so that is also falls under the gamut of shadow education. Then we have private coaching, which largely secondary students and higher secondary students take to basically increase and maximize their chances of success to prestigious institutes like IITs, IIMs, and NEET. And then we have coaching for UPSC banking exams, basically for employment. So these are different forms of coaching. So their issues are also a little bit different, though they all fall under the complex system of shadow education. Okay? Coming to the expansion. So this industry is growing, and how? So this sector is basically, as of 2024, is valued at rupees 58,000 crores. And is growing at the rate of 15%, is basically expected to reach at rupees 1.33 lakh crore by 2028. And herein, of course, we are including all sorts of private coaching. When it comes to coaching of quota coaching industry, if I talk about that, we all know, most of you must have heard quota's name in terms of maybe your relatives or your known people going for preparing of entrance examinations of engineering and medical. So quota has come out as a coaching hub and coaching capital of the country. Similarly, so I will talk about a bit of history of quota. So earlier it was an industrial town. In 1980s, it was an industrial town where companies like big industries like JK Synthetics were there. In 80s, it got shut down, and one of the employees of JK Synthetics, which basically known as very famous tutor, then he became Mr. VK Bansal. He also suffered from muscular dystrophy. So he, started giving coaching, given his physical condition. He started giving coaching to these students, and one of his students, he cleared IIT. And then the word of mouth spread, and so on. Many students, started coming, 100. Then in 1998, if I talk about, 1,000 students were taking coaching from Mr. Bansal. So this word of mouth spread, and since this industries got shut, this led to the emergence of new coaching institutes within the city. So what you hear today is Allen Career Institute, Resonance, Vibrant. All of them have come up from Kota coaching. They are from within Kota. They have emerged from Bansal. So yeah, now these institutes, they have set up their centers, their study centers, test centers, and others. In Delhi also we have, in other cities also we have. You must have heard that Allen has set up different centers across the country. Okay, so these are some of the prominent names. If we talk about in terms of what we've recently heard in news is Rajendra Place. In Rajendra Place, we have so many coaching preparing students for UPSC exam. So Rajendra Place, then we hear Mukherjee Nagar. So their historical, a little that I know is they were refugee settlements, and now they have converted into proper coaching hubs where so many students come to prepare for these exams. Again, cities like Ranchi, Sikar, Jaipur, Noida, Nagpur, Bhubaneswar, Madurai, Guwahati, Dehradun. So we have Kota in these places, but there are emergence of new coaching hubs that are coming in the country, and we see these new cities there. Small coaching institutes are coming. So in Rajasthan, if we hear the success rate actually that of students passing out from Sikar, some of the institute have increased. So even new places are coming as coaching hubs in the country. So that is, we have to understand that how the demand of private coaching is rising. Now coming to why do students take private coaching is something very interesting to understand. Why do we go for? Why there is a rise in demand for private coaching? So, as we all know, when we see many our people around us, or we have taken private tuition, so we have to basically increase our marks in the school examination, and so we go for private tuitions, right? Then that I'm talking only when you just take at school level and you would just have to increase your school marks. Then comes when you have to increase your chances of success to prestigious higher education institutes. And when I say this, there's IITs, then IIMs, then we have good central government universities. So there are a lot of institutes that have basically emerged to prepare students for these examinations. And my largely focus is on Kota because they prepare it for pre-engineering, that is the JEE Advanced and NEET. Okay, and so why these students basically go for these institutes? So basically the level of competition is so fierce in the market. See, we have to understand that the number of aspirants, we see that nearly 4 million students, that is nearly 14 lakh students appeared for JEE exam. And nearly 23 lakh students appear for NEET. We all have heard in the news very recently many things about things happening. Okay, so we have to understand the demand, the number of aspirants. There is a mismatch. There is a huge mismatch between the number of aspirants and the number of seats that are available in the prestigious institutions. Okay, so given that, students think that by going to these coaching institutes, which prepare students very focusedly only for competing in the national competitive examination, they take private coaching. They resort to private coaching, right? Another important thing that we also see is the growing aspirations. Okay, in the middle class of families, that we want to take so basically they think that once the ward goes or the child goes to a prestigious institute, there will be better job opportunities for the child, and hence they will climb up the ladder of socioeconomically they will do better in society. That is also one of the reasons why parents invest, and I will talk a little late about it. What kind of amount parents invest in taking coaching of the students for their own children. We also see that they take coaching. The students take coaching, and the parents send their child. Sometimes it's willingly, and sometimes it's not willingly. So sometimes the child wants to go and pursue extra, like like private coaching. Sometimes the parents also, since they have some aspirations, they want to send their what to pursue private coaching. While I say this, I think it's understood, but I'll just maybe say a line or two that these students also, they go to school. So some students, they go to school and simultaneously also go to private coaching to prepare. And sometimes they take a drop year and then prepare for private coaching. So they know very well, understand that the school does not prepare for these competitive examinations. So here we need to understand that the kind of examination we have in school is very subjective. The format is very different. Also, the school doesn't prepare the child for competitive examination. They're more towards holistic development of the child, co-curricular activities and other things and overall development. Whereas coaching institutes, they are very focused. They just want to, they prepare for the competitive examinations, and their focus is different. They know that the paper will come in objective, it will have negative marking, they prepare it for that, which the school does not. So the format is very different, which is why also students, while taking school, they think that we won't be able to qualify the entrance since the pattern is going to be very different. Hence, they take recourse to private coaching. Okay. Um, yeah. So coming now that they have decided that they want to go for coaching, how do they choose an institute? This is also very interesting thing that I looked at when I was doing my work research. So here students, they go by word of mouth, they go by flashy billboards. So they also seek information from different sources, how one institute is. And one of the main reasons is the previous results. I'm sure you must have seen flashy billboards somewhere or the other, showcasing ranks of toppers, like toppers of that particular institute. So nowadays, students are smart enough to analyze the previous result of the particular institute, and they also see which teacher is teaching. So reputation of the teacher and the teacher associated with that particular institute. So they see who is teaching, because in some cities, I'm sure they also see the flash. In Hong Kong, I know I've read it in the literature. The teachers are superstars. In Kota also, there are many teachers which are there on the on the billboards, and they see that, okay, this teacher is associated with this particular coaching. So students, they prefer to go in that very coaching institute. So teachers are stars basically for coaching, students taking coaching. Next is the word of mouth. They either your relative must have gone there, or some you find out somebody and you try to know about the reputation, the feedback, everything, and that is how you choose an institute. Now, choice is also contingent upon your household income, of course, because whether you want to be in the same city pursuing coaching within the city, or you want to go for example, Kota, like many students come from across the country to take coaching there. So your household income, then your parents' education, all these factors also contribute to choice making when one decides to pursue coaching. Also, students' ability. Okay, now students' ability, when I say, normally we assess the ability when it comes to, okay, बच्चे के 10th में इतने marks हैं, 12th में इतने marks हैं. So we see the marks obtained in class 10th or class 12th. So parents also assess the ability of a child, and based on that assessment, they basically form expectations whether their child will be able to crack the so-called prestigious exam or not. Now, as I mentioned, there is a difference. If somebody has secured 95% in your school, doesn't mean that they'll do great in entrance examination. Why? Again, the format is very different, right? The type of questions that come are very different. So all of these basically, form how the choice is basically made, right? Okay, I'll just talk a little bit about when I say choice. I mean that you've taken the decision. That means your household income, your parents' education, everybody has come into the decision making, and you've decided that you want to go for coaching. There is very briefly, I'll be talking about access to private coaching. Access doesn't mean that so choice and access are two different things, right? So I'll very briefly mention a study wherein they've taken a 75th round of data of an SSO. And they've said that at secondary level, 29% of the school students take coaching. So here, just to give you a disclaimer that till now I was talking about students taking coaching for prestigious institutes. That is different. Here, everything is included. Okay. And also in terms of access, when I talk about access, there is a pro-male bias. Like, parents tend to give more preference to a boy child in terms of investment in education or access to coaching. Okay. There also exists a rural urban disparity. Then people belonging to disadvantaged, like SC, and OBC backgrounds, are less likely to have access, when I say, to private coaching. This is what the NSSO data is showing. Okay. Coming to commercialization of education and what we understand and how education is commercialized, basically. So first thing is education. When we see it in the scenario of private coaching, it has become like a product, and I'll explain how. So in school, we observe, in school private tutoring, I'm saying, the teacher is teaching in the school, and the same teacher is also taking coaching. And sometimes they motivate students to come for their coaching, and then they teach better in the coaching vis-a-vis in the school. For example, they will solve more questions and so on and so forth. Secondly, when it comes to, let's say, private coaching, if I say, this batches, I'm particularly talking about quota coaching industry here because that's what I've seen it very closely. How the batches are bifurcated based on the ability of a child. The toppers will have a different batch, and the different set of the top teachers will teach them. And that is how the bifurcation of batches happens, and they treat every batch as different. Okay. And when you see marketing, so how marketing is so prevalent in private coaching business, that on the billboards, the top ranks are advertised. You will also see one student getting advertised at 3 different coaching institutes. How can one person study in 3 coaching institutes is something we need to ponder over, of course. Then they organize talk shows with toppers. So now we have to understand here that these students have just clarified an entrance exam and have made it to IIT. They have not got any degree, credential, nothing of that sort. They're only just merely passing an entrance. But the stardom that they get from these institutes is beyond our imagination. Some students end up getting, cars because they've secured a top rank, a top 1, top 2 rank. So that has what has been witnessed, at least in quota coaching industry, if I can say about that. Then if we see about scholarships, what is prevalent in mainstream education, in coaching, also there is a concept of scholarship. But when we see that, it's only that students who are, they think that the coaching things are able and intelligent enough to make it to IIT. They analyze their performance over fortnightly tests and whatnot. And based on that, if they think if the student is good enough as per their parameters, they give them scholarships. Okay? Because they want to get best of the students so that the institute can get best of the ranks. Okay, and that's very important in coaching. So yes, they will get. So they are only based on the merit they are giving scholarship. They're not giving scholarship. So, but yes, this when I'm saying this is largely driven by analysis of quota coaching industry. I have looked upon, and we do have examples like Super 30 and Rahmani 30 in Bihar that I saw, and who do give coaching to underprivileged students, which is great, which is exceptional. But okay, so now this coaching system largely has implications. And what are the implications? So they're bifurcated into 3. So one is economic implication. So as I mentioned some time back, that what the kind of expenditure that they invest. So roughly, at least in quota, 3 to 4 lakh, given their fees and living expenditure per year, a child is spending. Okay. Then minimum, mostly students end up taking coaching for 2 years. This is only to increase the chances that they make it to a good prestigious institute. Then, of course, it is a financial burden on the parents, because if the failure rate is very high, And if they don't make it, it is all gone. That's what, they're not getting any degree for doing this. Social implication, we all have heard about it a lot. The stress, the amount of pressure that the child goes through, mostly teenagers, 16, 17-year-old. We have seen in the news the rate at which the suicide is rising amongst the students, the mental health issues, insomnia. Some of them also end up committing crime. So this is impacting the students in a really bad way. So those who cannot cope up, for some, what happens, their parents would come so that, you know, the child doesn't take any extreme measure, step, you know, of committing anything. So the mothers often comes and stay with them within the hostels. So this is all due to the hyper competitiveness and of the environment. Okay. Now there is also educational implication. So since I'm talking about students taking coaching during 11th and 12th, because, you know, after 12 they want to give their entrance, what they do is they take their coaching very seriously and not their, so what they do, take registration and dummies. Now this thing, the ghost registrations that they're doing in the dummy school is basically, you know, while we were assuming initially that, okay, this private coaching is kind of supplementing the mainstream, it is kind of helping. But here it's not supplementing. Here, to an extent, it ends up subverting the system. It's bypassing the system. It's like they'll just take what you call dummy registration. They'll not go to the school. They will rather take the coaching very, very seriously. So given these implications, basically, you know, from at least last 4 to 5 years, the guidelines have started coming up. The state governments have come up with the guidelines. NEP 2020 talks about the kind of harm coaching culture is doing, especially at the secondary level. And also, the Ministry of Education very recently has come up with the regulation. So it is basically why, because the number of suicide rate is rising, the stress is rising. We have seen that in what conditions students are studying. In Rajendra Place, we saw that, you know, basement mein, there are classes happening. The facilities in Mukherjee Nagar, we must, I'm sure most of us you have gone, or if not, then you must sometime. The level of, you know, the congestion, the passage through which the students come down from the coaching institute is so small, if there is fire or if there is the mishap happens, there will be a stampede, and, you know, and there has been such incidents in the past as well. So given all of these, the ministry has come up with the guidelines. Now, good that the Ministry of Education is acknowledging the issue and the concern. And but how much they will be implemented is again a question by the coaching institutes. They are mere guidelines. So, but yes, at least the acknowledgement of the regulation itself, the regulation that has come up itself has made an impact. I think I will stop here. Yeah, this is largely what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, thank you.